And welcome everybody to the beautiful Columbus, Ohio. We're at the incredible Barracks Center right here, Columbus, Ohio. I'm Logan Morris, alongside my main man, Marvell. Nichols. Marvell, how you doing?
I'm feeling great. How about you, Logan?
Oh, doing very well. We're here to watch a hell of a fight, a hell of an evening. Tristan Jackson in the red, Westbrook in the blue, and we are underway. So, what do you make of this fight so far, Marvell?
There's a lot of energy what I'm seeing right now in Westbrook and in Jackson, with them going straight to the body, straight to work, and there's so many rapid punches right now. And I don't know if they're able to keep the tempo of this, and we'll get to see later on, because this is a very fast, intense fight.
Absolutely. You can see Tristan Jackson swinging wildly, Shannon Westbrook looking to defend himself, Shannon in the blue, Tristan in the red. Tristan coming out swinging heavy, swinging real heavy. Nice combo by Westbrook. Swing and miss for both. And
they're trying to they're not even going to see what their reach is for. They're just going straight after it. Long punches from both fighters.
You do have to factor in both these young men are just 12 years of age. And wow. And Westbrook nails Jackson there, has him on the ropes. And how do you bounce back if you're Jackson?
How you bounce back is if you're Jackson, and really for both of them is just try to be patient, try to find their shots. I don't see a lot of patience from either fighter. They're just wailing on each other, really. It's looking like a bar fight, or it's looking like, if you really want to be technical about it, like the final 10 seconds of the last round of a boxing match if it goes the distance.
No question about it. There you see Tristan Jackson in the red corner. Again, Westbrook in the blue. What do you think the coaches are telling both these young men?
They're probably telling them how to try to keep their composure, try to calm down and breathe. As you can see in the blue corner, that Westbrook is trying to come up with more breaths, heavy, deep breaths, and trying to keep his composure. And Jackson is in the corner listening to his corner man.
No question about it. And now they're both going to come out of the corners and get ready for round two. What are you looking forward to in round two, Marvell?
I'm looking to see a little bit more of jabs. I'm looking to see a little bit more jabs. And it looks like for right now, they slowed down just a bit, but heavy shots still nonetheless.
And you're speaking of heavy shots, you can see Tristan Jackson swinging wildly, and now here comes Westbrook back and got him with some body shots there. And both these young men are swinging for the fences. It's a proverbial home run punch we're looking at. And now Jackson stalks Westbrook. Westbrook looking to defend himself, but again, you can see Jackson is the aggressor of the two. And Westbrook trying to bounce back, gets a couple shots there.
And mind you, folks at home, that this is a 1 round, not the 1 round, 1 minute rounds. So with this, it's going to be a lot of fireworks. If it was a longer fight, of course, you would have to see a lot more patience. You probably would see a lot more body work. For those watching at home, the body will slow you down if you get hit in the right places, and it'll make you rethink your whole game plan, especially if you get hit in the solar plexus, and that's not nice at all.
And that's the end of round number 2. And again, that was another fast and furious round. Marvell, as you said, 1 minute rounds. Talk about the mindset of those 1 minute rounds. Do you think the fighters will be going for the home run throughout the night because of it?
It's mostly like your thoughts are compact. It's like you want to go for that home run because you don't have enough time. And with 3 1-minute rounds, it's kind of like just fighting 1 round normally for a boxing fight. So you're kind of more condensed. You're kind of wanting to show what you're capable of and what could possibly be the outcome in a faster fight.
Couldn't agree with you more. Again, this is beautiful Columbus, Ohio at the Barracks Center. And again, what a great event this is. Incredible event to pay tribute to Columbus's local boxing legends and pay forward to the next generation the game and tradition and sport of boxing, as we are set for round 3. And again, Jackson comes out swinging wildly. That's a theme throughout the evening so far as Jackson goes. Westbrook bouncing back. Oh, he looks like Big Sean. Body shots.
And Westbrook is throwing lots and lots of combinations straight to the face that are landing.
No question about it. Westbrook is like a Rubik's Cube in there looking for the right combo to send out his opponent, send down Jackson, and now Jackson having Westbrook reeling a little bit again, kind of bouncing around the ring. And Westbrook, every time, he's like a caged animal in there. Every time that Tristan Jackson gets close to Westbrook, all of a sudden Westbrook has a nice combination to back him away, to essentially swat him away like a fly.
I like the fact that in this round specifically, Westbrook is using his reach, and no matter how many times his opponent tries to come inside, Jackson is just getting stopped by the jabs, or he's getting stopped by a straight, and it's just taking away a lot of his aggression.
Absolutely, that is the end of round 3 as both fighters head to their respective corners once again, and that looks like it'll be the end of the fight. Yes, that's right, a 3-round fight according to the official, and so now we will wait for the decision. Marvell, what are your thoughts on that fight?
Oh, well, it was the 4th of July in there, wasn't it? So much fireworks from both fighters. Jackson showed that he was very resilient, taking some heavy shots in the 3rd round, but he did also match the aggression of Westbrook, which is admirable in itself, and both of these fighters showed great heart and great respect for each other.
Couldn't agree with you more. Now we wait for the decision out of the corners, and you see there a wonderful championship presentation, a title presentation is about to take place. Hats off to both these young fighters, both these men just 12 years of age, and that's just incredible when you think about it. The moxie it takes to get in there at any age, let alone 12, the quote-unquote tender age of 12 years old. Could not be more impressed. And so again, we're waiting on the decision from the judges, and no matter who wins here, this is about the community. What a great event this is, paying tribute to boxing's past in Columbus, but paving the way for boxing's future as well in Columbus here at the beautiful Barracks Community Center. And what a great evening it's going to be. What an honor and a pleasure it is for both of us to be here, I know, Marvell. And we are awaiting the decision. But again, it's bigger than just who wins the fights tonight. It's about community. It's about the next generation of the game per se. And I cannot wait and can't tell you how honored and thrilled we all are here at School Honor to be here calling these fights for you. What a pleasure and privilege it is. So again, we'll wait. Marvell, final thoughts on that fight before we get the decision.
And no pun intended, but it's just so excellent to see and marvel at the young talent and just be able to look at the future of something, no matter what it is. And seeing these two young men here, as you see the referee raising both hands because they are both champions in our eyes, and they both showed incredible heart, and just being here and being able to show off their talents and to be able to move forward to progress in what they want to do. But here's our decision, and we'll see who wins the fight.
Here comes the decision from the judges. Again, raising the hand of both competitors because both these kids are champions, just 12 years old. Immaculate as that is and hard to believe as that is, incredible. But now we get the official decision momentarily from the judges' table. And yes, it is Shannon Westbrook of the blue corner. He is your winner of the first fight tonight at the Columbus Legends Boxing Showcase here at the Barrett Community Center. And you can just see how thrilled both these young men are. Yes, one walks away with the title belt, but one walks away with the trophy. And more importantly, both young men can walk away with a ton of pride. And we just couldn't be happier. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we will get you set for fight number 2 of this evening.
Manziel Johnson. I started when I was about 13 over at Beatty Recreation Center. And how it all got started was I got in a fight with a guy named Charles Mitchell. We called him Cool. And the coach from over at Beatty at the time, he's deceased now, Ed Williams, he came out and broke the fight up and said, hey, y'all want to fight, y'all come inside. And we'll go in the ring and put the gloves on. I said, man, I ain't putting them gloves on, man. He said, well, you got to leave the playground. Ain't no fighting over here. So I said, all right. So what happened was Cool said, well, you scared? I said, come on, let's go. So we went inside, and we put the gloves on, and that was history. After I beat Cool up, the coach wanted me to come and fight for him. And that's how that started. Pretty decent amateur career. We're going to really fast forward. After I won about 4 or 5 Golden Glove championships and, state Golden Glove championships and about 4 Ohio State Fair championships, I fought in the National Golden Gloves. And I won that tournament, the National Golden Gloves. And then they had another tournament, big tournament, that same year called the AAU tournament. That's when you fight the armed services and everybody else. I was the outstanding boxer in that tournament. I won that tournament too. I won the Pan American Games in '75, and then decided to turn pro. 23 wins and 2 losses. And my 2 losses was to the world champions, Michael Spinks and Matthew Saad Muhammad. So they both got lucky. After that, I came home and I decided to try to get me a champion, out of one of these kids. And get the kids out the streets, and so I started working. I've been working on that for 34 years now.
Have you trained a champion?
Yeah, Tom Boom Boom Johnson, that's where the ring come from, out of Detroit. And we had a good run. We had 9 defenses, won 9 defenses, and so we had a good run at it before it all stopped. I started here in 1986, I believe. And but when I got here, they already had a boxing coach. So I taught a lot of these guys that's coaching now, like Eric and some other guys. They was little boys over here, and we had championship basketball teams and stuff like that. I did that. Then I left here the next year with the Thompson Recreation Center, and we turned that out from 87 to 90, and then they built Lula Pro Douglas Rec Center. And they asked me to come over there and take a look at it and asked me would I do that. And I went in there, I looked around, and I see these 2 big rings. I said, yeah, I'm in. Yeah. So I went there, and I've been there ever since. Well, it's something that recognizes guys like myself and other guys that was trailblazers for what's going on now. And some of us, after becoming legends, decided to, try to create legends, and that's what it's about with me. I'm trying to create some legends so years to come they can be sitting over here talking about their stories.
And welcome back to the beautiful Barrack Community Center as we get you set for fight number 2 in a 10-card fight, pardon me. Jamarion Forte of the blue corner is already in the ring waiting on his opponent to make his entrance. And what did you make of fight number 1, Marvell, before we get set?
I think that was mostly a demonstration of setting the night off with, like I was saying before, fireworks, high energy, and we are going to see what the rest of the night has in store for us and see if any of the other fighters for the rest of the night is going to keep that same energy, or we're going to see a little bit more strategy than usual, or are we going to see fighters demonstrate their styles in different ways.
Nehemiah Johnson in the red corner has made his way into the ring. So again, that's Johnson in the red, that's Forte in the blue, and we will get set here for fight number 2 again of 10 for this evening at the Columbus Legends Boxing Showcase. And it'll be very interesting to see if the breakneck pace continues for the evening. I have a feeling it will, as again, it's just 1-minute rounds as we talked about in fight number 1. And now it is time to ring the bell. And yes sirree, Ding, ding.
Did you see how those fighters just touch gloves? They are ready.
Absolutely. Again, Forte coming out strong.
Good.
Johnson is quicker than a hiccup with those punches, bringing the jab. Oh, and
both fighters are looking extremely for the counter punch here.
It looks quicker than a game of Street Fighter.
Both fighters are trying to find the perfect timing to catch a counter punch here. And for those watching at home, a counter punch is basically when your opponent throws a punch at you and you slip the punch and you immediately follow up with a punch. And those counter punches can be very detrimental because if an opponent is hitting you with a punch and you slip and you hit them, there's a lack of defense in there depending on how fast you are. So it's most likely that you'll catch your opponent and catch them stumbling. You can possibly knock them out or knock them down, and it could really rupture everything for you. It just intense.
No question, and this has been an intense matchup. Now they're in the clinch. Again, we get a great look. Forte in the blue, Johnson in the red, and Forte swinging heavily. Johnson, both these fighters working at a frantic pace. Forte is swinging heavily. He's got Johnson bobbing and weaving.
I think that Forte is playing baseball swinging for the fences the way he is with that left hook.
And that is the end of round number 1. Yes, Marvell, they both look to be looking for that proverbial home run hit, if you know what I mean. They look to both be connecting, swinging wildly. They've got to watch the breathing, got to watch the air of round 1 here. And it really, to me, again, with the 1 minute rounds, you have to move at such an incredibly quick pace. Do you think we see anything slower throughout the evening?
No, I don't. Watching the first 4 rounds of action here, I think that everyone's going to come out swinging tonight, and you can't blame them. I just think that with this fight specifically, man, it's wild because there were so many power punches thrown, and there were so many power punches missed because they're not going in there trying to find their range. They're not trying to feel each other out. They're just going out here to try to clobber each other.
Clobber is one thing. Now we get set for round 2. Let's see if they continue to try and clobber one another. And yes, absolutely, that question's already been answered as Forte proves that clobbering is his forte. Johnson looking to bounce back, looking to make that move and meet him in the middle per se.
Johnson's doing a great job of cutting the ring off for Forte and trying to trap him into the corner.
And speaking of trap, now they're in the clinch, and they are just trading blows like a bar fight.
Forte has to watch out for holding on to Johnson's arm in the middle of that clinch.
And now you can see again both fighters looking for that home run, looking for the other to make that mistake, and then they want to catch the other slipping, as the young kids say, no doubt about it. And speaking of slipping, Forte did a little bit of that, but gets his balance back. Johnson again in the clinch. They're practically hockey fighting in there.
Oh man, this is a brawl. Except for they just don't have any blades on them, thankfully.
Thankfully, no blades here at the beautiful Barrack Community Center in Columbus, Ohio. And again, that's Johnson in the red, Forte in the blue, and both are looking to make each other blue.
So many hooks being thrown. It's just, again, and I think that Johnson just switched his stance from unorthodox to southpaw. And again, for those of us watching at home, unorthodox means if you are a right-handed fighter, then your right hand is not your jab hand. It is your straight hand. That means the hand that is in front of you, or your foot that's in front of you, is the left foot. Now, the opposite is the southpaw, to where if you're a left-handed fighter, then the hand and the feet that are facing your opponent is the right hand and the right foot.
As we see the end of round number 2, and now we're going to get set for round number 3. What do you make of the fight so far, Marvell?
It got slower. You can definitely tell the pace got a little slower, but I think that was because of Johnson cutting the ring off very well against Forte. Forte's looking a little bit, trying to find a good way to get away from the corners and get his own into his space. But I think Johnson right now is just trying to close out distance and trying to hit him with more power shots and trying to make sure Forte is not as elusive as a gnat.
Elusive as a gnat. That may be the line of the evening so far, Mr. Nichols, and you can guarantee I know you'll have a lot more of those throughout the night as we get set for round number 3 here. Again, Forte in the blue, he is looking almost anxious in there, walking the floor proverbially. And now Johnson in the red, and now we're set for round number 3. And again, already quick, frantic hooks being thrown, looking for that home run ball. And what a combination by Forte, but then Johnson again bounces back so incredibly quickly, and now they're in the clinch. It makes you want to switch to decaf at the frantic pace.
And you saw how Forte, how rapid fire he came out, but again, it's like how the kids say too, Johnson was trying to keep the same energy, and as you can see too, it's determined on the pace here. If you want to go slow, I'll go slow. If you want to go fast, I'll go fast. I'll meet you wherever you want, halfway.
And how important is that for a fighter to be able to adapt to the opposing fighter's pace?
You're not supposed to, actually. You're supposed to make your opponent fight your fight. And the way you do that is you have to take control of the ring. You have to take control of the punches that you throw and be sure to catch your opponent off guard with different types of combinations, different types of angles, and different types of shots.
And Johnson takes a big shot, swing and a miss. Forte, again, these two are just brawling. It looks like a scene out of one of the Rocky movies as far as just the, not the most technically sound fight. A lot of hooks, plenty of hooks, but they are absolutely giving you all they got. And again, it's just young children here, folks, overall. It's young men, and that's going to be the end of this one. And we will wait the judge's decision. Marvell, what did you make of that fight as a whole?
First and foremost, I'm glad I'm not either one of them, and I'm glad I'm not in the ring with either one of them, because do you see how aggressively they hugged each other after the fight? They still can go probably another 12 rounds, really. So I think that this was a fight of pure aggression that I can appreciate as a boxing fan. They kept up with the energy of each other and with high respect for each other, and it was just so intense in the ring that I can, as any boxing fan of any level, amateur, professional, can truly appreciate what these young men just put on.
And more importantly, hopefully the community is appreciating what these young men are putting on. Again, this is bigger than just wins and losses here, folks. Yes, it is. Don't get me wrong. The competitive fire is burning very bright this evening, but it's about the community. It's about boxing's past, and it's about boxing's future right here in Columbus, Ohio. And so it is extremely essential that we keep in mind that this is boxing for bigger than just wins and losses. This is about the future of the game, the future of the sport, and hopefully giving these young men something to thrive for in the community, something to focus on, something to help them stay out of trouble, something to reward them for their wonderful efforts in other areas of life as we wait on the decision here from the judges. Both of these young men's hands raised as it should be, because they, just as fight number 1, put it on an incredible show for all of us here and all of you at home. And again, we await the decision.
Both men just still bouncing around, and they have such high energy. I just want to see them go again, actually.
They look like they want to go again, because jump, the house is jumping. You see Forte, he cannot remotely stand still, and now Johnson joins him, and it's going to be Johnson with the win. And so that may be a surprise decision to some, but Johnson with the W, Forte will take home the trophy. Johnson will take home the belt. And most importantly, again, both these young men can walk out with their hands and their head held high.
Have been made. We are ready to fight. We will reintroduce our fighters once again from King of Kings. In the red corner, put your hands together for Mr. Tierre. Come in here, come in here. And in the blue corner, fighting out
The center for fight number 3, that is Noel Seaman in the blue, Terrell Hummins in the red, and they touch gloves. And Marvell, are you ready for another fight?
Of course I am. I'm a huge boxing fan, so I'm always up for some fights.
And we are just about set here for fight number 3 of the evening. Again, out of 10, the Barrett Community Center in Columbus, Ohio. And Hummins comes out swinging, quite literally. Seaman looking to make a move, hit that home run hit. Again, it is 1 minute rounds, so essentially it's boxing's version to speed dating. And Seaman, now they're in the clinch, and well, you can see Hummins just continuing to swing low during the clinch. Now the referee will pull them apart.
I like how you can see in the subtle movements of Hummins that he's looking for his shots and he's looking for his angles and he's dipping away from the jab that Seaman is throwing.
Absolutely, you can see that Hummins is trained heavily for this fight and is ready to go. And now they're in the clinch up against the ropes. And the referee will break them again.
Hummins is showing a lot of IQ here. He's stretching his arm out, trying to test his reach and using the jab very effectively. For those at home, the jab is the most effective punch that you can have in a boxing match because it sets up everything. The jab sets up everything. It keeps you at a distance, and it keeps your opponent at bay. It keeps your opponent second guessing, and he's keeping him honest. The more you use your jab, the more you think, the more you get to set up some shots, and the more you get to set up some certain angles, and the better the boxing is, and the better the strategic, the mindset is.
And you have to wonder what the mindset is of Seaman and Hummins as they head to the corner at the end of round number 1. That was a pretty frantic first round. We saw both fighters almost fall out of the ring, to be quite frank. They got in the ropes there, and they got a little dicey, a little scuzzy perhaps. And so what did you make of that at first round? And again, what do you think the mindset of these two fighters are, considering the fact that you almost had a tumble, a WWE style tumble out on the floor?
Hummins is actually demonstrating the different fighting style that we've seen for the past couple of fights. Actually, he's taking his time, he's using his jab very effectively, he's using his reach very effectively, and Seaman is fighting like the rest of the fighters that we've seen previous, high energy, trying to move inside and trying to do damage on the inside and being very aggressive. But I think that Hummins' IQ is showing, and we'll get to see what happens this round coming up.
And we're set for round number 2 here again, just 1 minute rounds, and Hummins swings with and then looky here, Seaman, and now they are absolutely in the clinch. They were bobbing and moving, and now they're pulled apart.
Give a lot of respect to Seaman with his head movement. His head movement is very crisp, and it's looking like he can depict. He's starting to read the jab. He's starting to read more into the jab. And he's looking to get more of his shots on the inside while trying to be ducking and weaving. It's kind of like the Joe Frazier kind of way of fighting.
And again, now they're back on the ropes and pulled apart, stepping back. Referee will reset them. And yes, absolutely, head movement is so incredibly key. And Seaman has shown it to a T. And Hummins is absolutely looking for the right angles, the right shots as they come back out and are ready to go here. and now still kind of a feeling out process even. And that doesn't go away when you have 1 minute fights. And boom, 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 right, left, right, left.
This is a great combination of offense and defense from both fighters, actually. This is great boxing.
And again, just a frantic pace, and there they are in the ropes again. Both these fighters not even taking a single second, not a single breath to really get set, as that's the end of the round. And what do you think both trainers in both corners, Marvell, are going to say to one another?
I think that stay off the ropes is the number one thing you can tell both fighters, honestly. I think that you should definitely tell them, hey, great head movement from Seaman, and hey, great utilization of the jab in your reach from the different aspects of trying to catch your opponent. But I believe that in this round here, they're going to show a lot more aggression. It's the final round, 1 minute, go all out, and this fight is actually very close.
The fight is incredibly close again here at the Bear Community Center, beautiful Columbus, Ohio. Legends Boxing Showcase. Seaman in the blue, Hummins in the red corner. And we're going to get set here for what will be the final round of this fight. Again, it's 1 minute, 3 round fights here early on, and then we may have a later round fight later in the evening.
Perhaps so, but the more the merrier when it comes to the fight game.
No question about it. As you can see, both fighters coming out. And again, that filling out process, Marvell, with it being 1 minute round, it doesn't really go away, does it?
I mean, you kind of throw out the idea of filling out, because it's not, you don't have enough time to fill out. It's just all out brawl. Like I was saying in the previous fight, it's usually 3 minutes per round. They have 3 1 minute rounds, so they're basically fighting one round here. So you have one round to demonstrate how good you are and your skills, and to try to pull off the victory. So this is very important for both fighters, especially this round specifically, because I think this fight is incredibly close.
And Hummins swing with that left hook, and Seaman bounces back trying to answer. And again, Hummins showing great head movement and awareness in himself, not letting Seaman hit that big proverbial knockout punch. You know, we haven't seen anyone knocked out yet this evening, but I'm talking about not landing that big one, that Mike Tyson-esque shot.
Seaman has been pushing forward all fight, and no matter what he's done, it just seems that he's always going to get Hummins on the ropes, and it's going to be a very great setup for Seaman to throw his punches and get in the inside, because he is the shorter fighter.
Absolutely, and we'll see how that played out in this fight as we end this fight. That's the end of the round, therefore the end of the fight. We'll wait on the judge's decision. And what did you make, Marvell, of the fight overall, as we see Seaman show great respect to Hummins? They go over, handshake, hug, little glad hand action, and great sportsmanship there. But what did you make of the fight?
This was the highest IQ boxing fight that we've seen for the night so far. I think that they were both very technically sound, which is what I also like to see. Some people don't like to see technically sound boxing matches, Logan, for the simple fact that it's just not enough fireworks for them. There's not enough hard-hitting action. But what people don't realize too about the fight game, it's more mental than it is physical, and you have to respect that in the sense of you can't just go out there all willy-nilly and swinging. You get caught. If a person is technically sound and they just see you swinging, they're going to take an angle and they're going to hit you right on the button. They know what they're doing. So I think that with both of them showing great IQ, I think that this is going to be very interesting to see who comes out on top and whose strategy has won out throughout this matchup.
And we will in fact see who came out on top as we await the judge's final decision for the evening between Seaman in the blue and Hummins in the red. And again, it's not really about who wins and loses. But as you can see, the decision has been made, and Seaman is your winner out of the blue corner. Again, they shake hands, show great respect, and Seaman is your winner. Hummins will be the runner-up, but again, they're all winners tonight. This is young men out there showing the love of the game, the love of the sport, the love of the grind, and there's nothing quite like it. And again, it's about the future and the past tonight. So we're going to take our next break here at the Columbus Legends Boxing Showcase. Then we're going to come back and get you set for fight number 4 of the evening.
I started actually boxing at Blackburn Recreation Center here in Columbus as an amateur. I only had 1 or 2 amateur fights before I went pro. My first title was the national championship in '97, and that was a really great thing to be part of because it was the first one ever. So we made history that year. So that was pretty cool. In Georgia.
In Georgia.
Yeah, we fought in Georgia.
So
that's a movie in itself.
yes.
Well, early on, I had a little reputation in the streets for fighting. I really despised bullies, so that kind of became the reputation that I had. And then life happened, and some really dark things happened in my life, and I made some wrong decisions, and I ended up going to prison for a couple years. And so when I came home, I knew that I clearly had to do something different, and I had 2 children. And I was a single parent. So I thought, what do I do well? And I fight well. So I said, I'm going to try to make this work. My first trainer was Manziel Johnson at Blackburn. Well, we went straight to the Nationals. So I won the Nationals in '97, my first fight, I think. So I moved pretty quickly just because Mike thought I should. So went to the Nationals in Georgia in '97 and won that. That was a great group of women. John Johnson, who was at the time Buster Douglas's manager, he actually was at my fight at Blackburn, my first pro fight, and he picked me up from there. He entered me into a world tough woman contest, and the premise of that was the winner from that, because it was also very new, would be world champion, the IFBA world champion, because it was women from all over the world. So I won that, and it just so happened that Manziel Johnson was watching that because it was on pay-per-view. So he made a call to us and flew out there and met him and signed on with him as my promoter. And the rest is history. Blackburn is home. I mean, anywhere anyone starts, I think, is where home is. And it was ironic because I lifeguarded there several years before that as a teenager. So coming back there in a whole different realm, I felt comfortable. And Mike taught me everything. I mean, I naturally have some talent in that area, but I mean, everyone needs guidance and coaching, and you know, he was my cheerleader and the whole 9. So yeah, it was extreme because again, I was a single mom, and I came to the gym every day after work with my children. So they were in the corner doing homework, and I was in the gym, you know, hoping to make a life better for them. I made history twice, once being the first female and African-American female national boxing heavyweight champion, and then again in '98 being the first female and African-American female being the first IFBA world heavyweight champion. Wow. You know, after so many years, you still don't expect people to give me the love that, you know, and the honor and all of those things, because really I was just doing what I do well. And for me, it came kind of easy. I mean, not the workout, don't get me wrong. I trained hard and long to get where I got, but so humbled. I was very humbled.
I don't see a lot of like bigger people arguing about food.
Well, I'm a big man, and with that, let's get into fight.
Yeah.
All right. And welcome back for fight number 4 here at the Barrett Community Center. Great evening thus far. Again, this is not just about the winners and losers here. This is about the community paying tribute to boxing's past here in Columbus, to boxing's present here in Columbus, and paving the way for boxing's future. And that you cannot overstate how important that is. Community and helping out any troubled youth. It's a big deal, folks, and it's great to be here at the Barrett Community Center as we get set for fight number 5. Peck, he is making his way. Devon Peck, pardon me, is making his way into the ring for the blue corner, and he will be taking on Dominic Lewis, who will be making his way shortly. And here he comes now for the red corner. And what are you looking forward to seeing in this fight?
Based off of these two physiques, I don't expect anything fast, but I do expect some hard hitting here. This is going to be incredibly interesting. This might actually defy the rest of the night from what we've seen so far. This actually might be a slugfest here. That's what I'm looking at. It
could be fire, as the young kids say, as we have a couple of big hosses stepping in the ring. They touch gloves, and we're about to get set for fight number 4 here at the Barrett Community Center. We couldn't be happier to be here. Once again, Logan Morris, Marvell Nichols, let's fight. And Dominic Lewis comes out intense, swinging, trying to set up the jab, and then he was trying to bring it home for the home run. And again, look at the intensity of Dominic Lewis. Those hands are fast and furious. Marvell, what do you make of Dominic Lewis thus far with those hands? Look at the speed. Look at the intensity.
Well, first of all, I was wrong. Second of all, yeah, this is very intense. Like you seen Lewis just come out with maybe 5 straight jabs, and it's out the gate, just making a statement saying, "Hey, you in for a long night, Bucko."
You know, he has turned Columbus, Ohio, into Jab City. Dominic Lewis again swinging here in the clinch, trying to get the body on Peck, and again Dominic Lewis is being such the aggressor in this fight. You can just tell he is setting the pace. He is telling Peck, non-verbally, of course, this is my ring you're stepping into, and you're going to find it out. And Peck has got to be on the defensive. How does he slow down this just dynamo that is Dominic Lewis in those hands?
Well, usually in a lot of boxing matches, the first round is a fill-out round, but there's no filling out whatsoever between these two. I think Lewis is coming out very aggressively, coming out with a herky-jerky style with head movement and just awkward jabs and awkward angles that he's coming out with. That's kind of throwing off Peck, and Peck he looks kind of lost out there. He's trying to figure out some type of strategy that he can use. He's trying to find his angles as well as he uses his jab very effectively. He's coming up with 3-punch combinations. He's coming up with some hooks there to try to throw off the energy of Lewis, but Lewis is right there on him. So I think that this is going to be one of those cases where someone's going to have to give.
And speaking of giving, someone needs to give Dominic Lewis a little decaf, because he is just swinging mightily, moving mildly, and I don't know if Peck was quite prepared for this kind of pace. We know it's going to be fast. We talked all night about the rounds, but I don't know if anyone's prepared for this kind of pace that Dominic Lewis is coming out and charging here in this first round. And again, he's trying to set up that jab and then bring in the big hooks. Now he's going for the big hooks. You see, swings and misses a little bit wildly. Now they're in the clinch. And Peck has just got to survive this first round. When you get stuck in there with a guy like Lewis, who is completely setting the pace, he's just got to find a way to survive. Even in these closing seconds, you can see that Lewis is not wanting to kind of give an inch. Now Peck getting in some swings, but again, Lewis just, even when he's getting swung at, doesn't seem to be avoiding those swings. It goes, come on, hit me. Hit me. I'm still going to set this pace.
And again, with these two physiques, you don't know how fast-paced or consistent these two are going to go at it. They're not the smaller kids that we've seen throughout the night. This is 2 big sluggers right here. And this right here, the break in between rounds, is definitely going to tell us what's in the gas tank of both of these fighters, as you can see with Peck over in his corner, he's breathing kind of heavy and he's sitting down. With Lewis, he's standing up, he's breathing heavy, but he's standing. So again, with that psychologically, you can look at your opponent and say, yeah, he's definitely more tired than I am. But when you're sitting, you're looking at your opponent like, wow, this guy's crazy. So it's just like you kind of based off your strategy off of those two things right there, just those small, minute details of what your fighter is doing.
And yes, Dominic Lewis absolutely set the pace in the first round. You can see both coaches talking to their fighters, trying to, tell them to breathe, take your time, as much time as you can in these situations. Most important to protect yourself, protect your air. Now we get set for round number 2, and we'll see if Lewis is able to keep up that incredible pace, and if Peck has a handle on it. Because again, the first round, no matter what, is a fill-out round. Whether they come out like a fill-out round or not, it is, because it's the first round. And so you have time to now adjust. You have an idea of what you're facing coming in round 2. All you got to do is survive. Speaking of survival, got him back on the ropes. They're back at the clinch. And again, look at Dominic Lewis just continuing to swing wildly at times. But then when you're in the clinch, he has very, very precise body shots that don't look pretty, but they do their job.
And one thing that I'm noticing right here is, too, I think the footwork is starting to lag right here for Peck. He's starting to look a little bit more flat-footed than usual. It's looking like his arms are down, his jaw is open, and those are 3 things that you definitely do not want to see out of your fighter if you were Peck's corner. The one, I'm gonna break these down. One, when you see your fighter's jaw down, one, they're out of breath. But when you have your jaw down, it's a big sign for your opponent to say, I'm about to aim for your jaw, because when your jaw is down, that means that it's more of a hurtful target for you. It's definitely something that you have to adjust to, because as a fighter, you want your chin to be as tucked as possible. That way it can take some more of absorbing shots. But if your chin is down, you're more of an easy target for your opponent. And with the flat-footedness, where are you going to go? It's hard for you to go anywhere because you're in a ring, so that's one. But like when you lose your mobility at the core, it's bad. It's terribly, terribly bad. And what I like right now is from Lewis is a lot of the body work. He's taking a lot of the gas away from Peck, and it's making it a lot worse for him, for his breathing, and a lot for his thought process.
Absolutely. Again, Marvell and Nichols, they're giving you great analysis that you only get here. No one knows the fight game like Marvell. He is marvelous at it. Unintended, I guarantee you. There is just nobody like Marvell Nichols when it comes to the fight game. And we see the pace being a little slower for Dominic Lewis. Peck looking like he's able to handle it a bit more. But again, the flat-footedness, as Marvell, you mentioned, of Peck is a big deal. You want to be on your toes, both literally and figuratively as a fighter. And both of these fighters look a little spent in this second round. I think Lewis used a lot of energy. I think Peck used a lot of energy trying to fend off that spur of energy from Lewis. And so I think both these fighters are fatigued in all capital letters for this second round.
And the fact that Peck's arms are consistently down whenever there's a small little break in the action is very disheartening to see from a fighter as well. I don't think that with anyone that's ever watched a fight before, your hands are not supposed to be down at any given point. And it's very bad, because your opponent could easily just come up with something that you just do not see. And of course, when we talk about combat sports or any type of fight, it's always the punch or the kick or the attack that you don't see that's the most effective.
And with that, that's the end of round number 2. And we'll see how round number 3 goes. Both of those fighters looked sluggish, looked a little worse for wear. Neither had the same the same jump as they did, for lack of a better term, the same bite on their punches for round 1. And it's just a matter of, look, when you're having these shorter rounds, the reality is, even though the clock has changed, your conditioning has not. So when your mindset is the fact of, we got to go, 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 if your body is not conditioned and trained to go, 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 but more into the fill it out process and then finding that gear later, it can be tough to do. We'll see what happens here as we kick off round number 3. And again, Both starting out strong. Peck swing, trying to set up the jab, bring in some body shot hooks. You know that Peck is looking for, Lewis is looking for the home run. But he's also, when it comes time for the clinch, Marvell, he's able to dial it back and just put in nice body shots that aren't all about the home run.
And they're working. Look at how gassed Peck is, but Peck still has a lot in his tank too, just by the punches that he's throwing, and the ones that he lands are very, very heavy looking punches. But it's just the fact that Lewis just keeps moving forward, no matter how tired he is. It just seems like it just may look like that he just may have more in the tank than Peck does.
That is one thing to note. Look at how Lewis just continues to be the aggressor, to continue to be the shark in the water here when there's blood. He just continuously, even though he's obviously not quite at full stamina, he continues to essentially, non-verbally of course, tell Peck, this is my fight. We're going to fight at my pace. I'm going to attack you with all I can. Because notice, even in the clinch there, Lewis was sliding in some sly body shots, not dirty, not anything like that, but just some, not underhanded, but just some outright, I'm going to beat you up at every moment I possibly can type of fighting. Like I said, look at the hands of both these fighters and tell me who's got more oomph and who's prepared in the clinch. No disrespect to Peck, of course, but Lewis just keeps going. But now Peck battles. Peck is battling. I'll give him that. He is absolutely battling. But in the clinch, in these moments, look at how weak Peck looks all of a sudden. Look at Lewis continuing, even with no oomph perhaps, but continuing to put shots in.
And look at the small detail of what just happened with Lewis there, just putting his hands above his head right there. You can tell whenever an athlete puts their hands above their head, it means they're basically trying to get as much air as possible, trying to breathe that in. And you can just imagine, even with the oomph that these fighters are coming with, as you can see with two good two-piece combos that Peck just threw there and landed, it's just the fatigue, and you can see it. He's just throwing with all that he can. And this is the type of warrior spirit that I've loved to see out of not only just fighters, but these young men specifically. Because again, it's not about winning and losing. It's about showing your heart and showcasing your skill.
Could not agree with you more, Marvell. And both these fighters are doing just that, showing their heart, showing their skill. You know, because Peck has had to withstand an onslaught of aggressiveness from Lewis. And you have to give him such credit for that. And you have to give Lewis such credit for the fact that he has been able to create that onslaught, as that is now the end of this fight. And that is, in my opinion, thus far, the fight of the night, Marvell. I think both fighters brought it. Lewis started out in the first round, you recall, at such a ferocious pace. And Peck was able to weather the proverbial storm. And then Peck looked stronger in the second. They both looked weaker, but he looked stronger than Lewis did. And then I thought round 3 there was pretty even. What did you make of that fight? What did you make of that third round?
First of all, I'm definitely going to say you could definitely just tell by these fighters and how gassed they are. They're going to just fall out, take a nap in an ice bath. That would be my first instance as well. I don't blame him. But I think that with the energy that they both provided, with them not giving an inch like you were saying before, and both of them still swinging with absolutely nothing but their sheer willpower, is something to behold. But I think that with the aggressiveness, the consistency of Lewis, and the body work that he put in, which is extremely underrated in combat sports, I just believe that Lewis has showed off a better, and he just looked like he just had a better conditioning. That's all it was. I think that ultimately it came down to conditioning, and that's what it comes down to for some fighters. If the more you have in your tank, the more you can go.
We await the decision. The decision is Dominic Lewis is your winner. And I'm not surprised by that. Both of these fighters did a fantastic job. But Lewis set the pace the entire fight. What do you think of it, Marvell?
Yeah, like I was saying before, when the first round started, I was wrong. I was terribly wrong. I didn't think that both of these young men would just come out swinging the way they did with such aggression. But then again, like as you can see, like I've been preaching the whole fight, the physiques tire you out, man.
Absolutely. And with that, we're going to take our next break here. And when we come back, it's going to be time for fight number 5. Don't move a move. We'll be right back here on the Scoring Network.
My name is Tony Cube. I'm actually from this neighborhood, Lincoln Park, born and raised, Brick City all day, South Side. So for me, I was raised in, my mother raised me by herself, and this was basically the midpoint for the entire community. So without this, I really don't know what I would be without the discipline of my mother and this as a crutch. Like I said, I'm from this neighborhood. I went to South High School, played sports, went on to Ohio State, played college football, started, was freshman All-American, played some NFL, boxed professionally, started boxing here. So I'm all over the place. I'm a military guy, and now I'm a firefighter. So I've had my hand in a few different professions. I try now to give back to the youth as somebody did for me. So I'm a boring dude, but interesting story. So the rec center here was for ages pre-K to probably 12 or 13. And that was from after school until about 6. Then the center emptied out, and then the teenagers came in and took over the rec center. So 14 and up to adults was 6:30 to like 9. If you wanted to stay at the rec center, you had a few options. You either had to join cooking class, boxing, or you had to run track. And so none of the kids in my neighborhood wanted to go home. So you had to do one of or all three. So we all boxed, we all cooked, and we all ran track. So that's kind of how I got into it. I think I went to the Golden Gloves about 9 or 10 years old. I lost to, I think I was 9 or 10. I might have been 10. And I lost to a 15-year-old. And then the next year I came back and won. So, I mean, that was pretty much the extent of my amateur career, probably from 6 to about 11. And then you start playing sports, and once you're able to come to the rec center in the evening on your age, you don't want to do that anymore. You want to play basketball and all the other stuff, because it was very structured. Some of the people that you may know that I played with would be like Chris Spillman and Chris Carter and people like that. So as a freshman, I was highly touted. I started as a freshman. That wasn't something that was done in the 80s. You weren't starting as a freshman. You were a red shirt. You may have played as a junior, but I started as a freshman. Had a decent career. Of course, again, I was young and headstrong, so I wanted to go pro as a freshman. That's just a rule you can't do. So anyway, I left there and went to the military, and then went overseas and played in NFL Europe. Came back, finished at Central State. We won a national championship there, and then I played a few years in the league on the practice squad. So I went from being a highly talented athlete, you know, and to being just in a pool of everyday, ordinary guys. So I wasn't looked at as being special or anything like that. It was just, that's what it was. And I wasn't used to that. You know, if you worked harder and were bigger, stronger, faster than somebody, you were looked at a certain way and not there. I mean, if you were faster than somebody, that you got a faster time or whatever. But, you know, it kind of was, I needed that discipline at that time, because I wasn't a loose cannon, but, you know, I'm always used to, if you work harder than somebody, then you'll be somewhere that they won't be. And that's not the way the military is. So I needed that to humble myself again, to go to the next chapter, was to go back to college and finish up and then do all the other things that I've done with being humble, because at one point I wasn't humble. I won a Golden Gloves. I was too young to go to the Nationals, but I did beat the person who won the Nationals as 10-year-old. I did win a small cruiserweight title against a guy, Rob Benson-Haver, at a point, so I had a little bit of success. Like I said, I'm no Buster Douglas. Those guys are legends. So for me, I'm humbled because I would not consider myself a boxing legend. I just wouldn't. I've not done anything that a lot of the guys have done. I have some credentials, but I'm no Manziel Johnson. I'm no Buster Douglas. I'm no Fly, Richard Roselle. I'm none of those guys. But the overall part of me, I would say I could stand next to them because of some of the other things that I've done. But as far as boxing is concerned, I wouldn't consider myself a legend.
Welcome again, everybody, to the Barrett Community Center. We're back after a break. Once again, Logan Morris, Marvell Nichols, getting you set for fight number 5 on the evening. Marvell, what do you think of the fights so far?
A lot of fast pace between all fighters here tonight, Logan. And I think that the main point that everyone should keep in mind here is the reasoning for that is because that all these rounds are 3 1-minute round fights. In a normal fight, that's 1 round for a normal boxer. So a lot of points that need to be proven, a lot of action that's going to be fast paced here. So I think that it's going to be very impactful for everyone. That it's just going to be very, very fast paced.
No question about it, and it has been very fast paced, and as you said, that's so different when it comes to a usual boxing fight of a 3-minute round, and instead we have we just have the equivalent of 1 round. And so it'd be very interesting to see how these fighters deal with that. It's been a quick pace again, but this night isn't so much about the winners and losers. It's about paying tribute to boxing's past here in Columbus and honoring boxing's present here in Columbus. Most importantly, paving the way for boxing's future here in Columbus. And so it'd be very interesting to see how it all works. But what's important is the community aspect of it. As the fighters touch gloves, and you have chambers in the orange or the red, depending on what your color scale is. And then you have Flint in the blue, Corey Flint in the blue, Greg Chambers in the red. We are set for fight number 5 here at the Barrett Community Center. And already you can see a lot of bobbing and weaving, quick move motions. And it is quick strikes, especially by Chambers. He is moving quicker than a hiccup. Now they're in the clinch. But Chambers' hands constantly moving. And I mean, look at him just bob, weave, bob, weave, bob, weave. And it's step in, step out, step in, step out. And Flint trying to keep up with that pace. But again, Chambers seems to be setting the tone. Marvell, he really seems to be setting the tone as now they're in the ropes.
Other than the actual obvious of everyone moving at a breakneck pace, the one thing that stood out to me right before the fight even started was the fact that you have a Southpaw versus an Orthodox fighter. Now, for those watching at home, a Southpaw is a left-handed fighter to where your left hand is not your jab hand. It is your hand that is closest to you at your chin level. And an unorthodox is where your right hand is the jab hand, or no, I'm sorry, it is the straight right hand, to where like that is the hand that is closest to your chin level.
And I know that I speak the obvious when I say breakneck pace, and that's what I like to do. I like to put it in layman's terms, and they are just moving so sharply. And what do both fighters need to look for and work on throughout this fight thus far that you're seeing, Marvell?
Well, if you're Chambers being the Southpaw, of course you're going to have to look for that lead left hand somewhere, because fighting a left-handed fighter is very awkward due to the simple fact that your jab can run into them. They have the same jab hand virtually. It's like a mirror effect. And lefties being so awkward in how they move and how they fight as well, it's going to be very difficult for the unorthodox fighter in Flint to try to keep up. But I don't think so here. They're matching speeds and they're matching jabs and they're just matching, again, with the intensity with the inside fights. I think this is going to be a very interesting one in itself.
I could not agree with you more, my good man. And now Flint seems to be taking the advantage. Chambers seems to be slowing down some. Again, it can be a matter similar to what we saw in fight number 4, as far as the guy that starts out hottest may end up coldest, if that makes sense. Because you just, even with these extremely short fights, you can still wear yourself out in a matter of moments if your condition is not good.
And now what I see from Flint right here is, even in the clinch, and he's still using his jab, he's using his jab very effectively, but in the clinch, though the punches that you may see don't necessarily look like they hurt, but it's hurting his opponent in the scorecards because it still racks up at the end of the day as points, you know. Now, will we see a knockout here? Potentially not. You know, it's not what everyone's looking for, but since that's the case, it's very, very important for you to get into those scorecards and win those.
And with that, that is the round number 1. And again, these are 3-round fights. And Marvell, who do you give the edge to in that round? And what are you looking for in round number 2?
Flint's energy, man. Flint's energy has been very strategic based, but at the same time, he's still keeping up with faster times. I like the fact that Chambers is pushing a pace, but I think that Chambers should definitely use more of his energy towards a strategy, trying to figure things out. You know, a lot of first rounds are typically fill-out rounds, but again, with the circumstances that we're in, there's not really a lot of fill-out rounds that you're going to see here. So I think that Chambers is going to have to adjust in trying to be able to learn his distance and try to get some more punches in the clinch. I think he was a little bit less effective in the clinch that Flint was. Then that could probably change the tide of the fight.
And that is what both these fighters are going to try to do, is change the tide of the fight and make it go in their direction, their momentum. I thought round 1 was pretty dadgum even, really. And it'll be interesting to see how round 2 looks. Once again, Chambers in the red, Flint in the blue. And we're about set for round number 2 here. An official making some final preparations for round number 2, making sure everything is squared away. And we are off for round number 2 of this fight. And again, fight number 5 here at the Bear Community Center. And you can see Flint coming out more aggressively. And it looks to me that the more aggressive of the two is Flint in this round, where it was Chambers in the first round. And so it's tough on that in that sense.
I think Chambers is actually looking out for more of the 1-2 combination that Flint's trying to throw. And again, look at them being very aggressive in the clinch. But when you look at them being very aggressive in the clinch, who's striking? That's what you're really looking out for more. I think Chambers, again, needs to put more emphasis on getting those little shots in while in the clinch, because it's looking like Flint is getting a lot of his advantages in the clinch and still scoring here. And I think that they need to be put to a rest with Chambers trying to find a little bit more of a distance here.
And you can see Chambers beginning to a little weary, and Flint, in my opinion, has taken the advantage in round number 2. He seems to be looking for that, not the home run ball. Boxing sometimes is like building blocks. He's looking for some of those body shots and jabs to take advantage of and really build on attacking his opponent in Chambers. And now Chambers getting back into the corner, and he's swinging heavily. Now they're in the clinch. And now they're in the ropes, and that always is a tough, precarious position for whomever is in those ropes, because not only do you have to balance, I don't want to fall out of the ring, you got to balance a guy trying to knock your head off.
And Flint is bringing the fight very aggressively. He's making the fight a little, it's looking like, it's not dirty, but it's making it look like it's just grimy work in there, and it's just, he's really trying to grind in those punches, and it's looking like he's bringing a lot of physicality to Chambers that he just does not have an answer for yet.
Absolutely. Flint was blue collar tough in that second round, scrappy, ready to fight at all times, and I got to give him the edge for round number 2. And it'll be interesting to see if Chambers can regain his round 1 momentum here in this final round. What'd you make of round number 2, Marvell?
It was mostly looking like Chambers was starting to look like he found an answer, trying to push away a lot of the punches and the 1-2s before Flint gets into the inside. Because Flint, what he'll do is he'll throw a couple of combinations, maybe a 1-2, and he'll try to get you cornered. But then as soon as he lands a couple of punches, he's right in your face, right in the clinch. And I think that, again, with Chambers, I think Chambers actually has the longer reach here. And again, with him being a lefty, try to make sure your jab throws off Flint. Make sure your jab throws off Flint, and try to keep him off balance with a lot of shots on the outside. Make sure you keep your jab hand strong. That's why the jab is the #1 punch in all the boxing.
Yeah, absolutely. Tried and true for a reason. You know, as much as it may not not necessarily sell tickets or be put on too many posters. The jab is tried and true, and you might as well go with it. And speaking of going with it, Chambers is trying to go with it, as is Flint, looking for that shot, that opening. Both fighters having doing a good job of keeping their hands up and ready to go. They were quickly in the clinch, then they depart, and both of them swing a little wildly here. Nice hook by Chambers. Flint trying to set up with the jab and then bring you an uppercut. And what strategy do you think is paying off here, Marvell?
Chambers is using his left hand, his left straight very effectively. I like that. He should have actually been using that a lot more in the beginning of the fight. Now, you can definitely tell he's bending over and putting a lot more knees into his punches. I think he should more so try to stand straight when he lands his punches. Just definitely show some more dominance as far as how you throw your punches. And being that you're the taller, bigger fighter in this look, definitely use your size advantage here and use your length here, because the jab, yes, the jab is very effective and it opens up a lot of combinations, but when you start to add in that left, that straight hand, that's a lot more effective too, and it'll throw you off, and it can really put your lights out, man.
Absolutely, and look, at the end of the day, that's what both fighters are looking to do, put some lights out. And Chambers trying to set up again with a straight and then bring the big hook. And Flint trying to battle back from that. And he is bobbing, weaving, get caught in the clinch, do both fighters now. And you can see both of them trying to put in the subtle shots that, again, don't look pretty, don't look effective, don't shock the world. But they do add up, they do take a toll on a fighter, as that is going to be the end of the fight. And we will go again to a scorer's decision. Marvell, what do you make of that fight before we get the word from the judge on who is the official winner?
I think Chambers made the right adjustments in the third round. Especially, I like the way that he used, whenever he jabbed, he kept his jab hand out to make sure that he knew that his opponent was going to swarm in. But that hand being there is kind of a distraction, you see. It's a distraction of your vision if you put your hand at the right place. And then with the placement of the left hand following up where that right hand's supposed to be, that's going to be it's one of those situations where it's the punch that you don't see is the most effective, that hurts you the most. And I think that he just made that adjustment too late because of the aggressiveness and the straightforwardness that Flint was bringing to him. He was just combo, get in your face, get dirty, leave out and stick you in the corner or stick you upon the ropes.
And I could not agree with you more. Now we are about to get the official decision on who is the winner of this fight. Fight number 5 out of 10 here at the Barrett Community Center. Looking forward to all those fights, but again, this is about community, this is about legacy, this is about so much more than just who wins and loses this fight. Both these fighters and all these fighters title winners.
Yes, because this is a great showcase of everyone's skills, and a lot of these fighters, no matter what, still have a great future if they still lead with this direction here. That's all that matters. It's all a stepping stone to greatness.
Couldn't agree again. We await the word. We're about to receive the winner of this fight, fight number 5. It was, I would argue, the fight of the night. And Flint, Corey Flint, gets it done. He is your winner, the blue corner. And so that is the call. That is the call by the judges. And it could have gone either way. No shame with Chambers. But with that, we have Corey Flint, your winner. With that, we're going to take our next break. We're going to take our next break right here at the School on Air Boxing Legends Showcase. When we come back, we got a whole slew of fights lined up, Marvell. Cannot wait to call them. Looking forward to it. With this fight number 5. And now, when we come back, it'll be fight number 6. We got 7, we got 8, we got 9. Let's take a break here. Barrett Community Center, School on Air Boxing Showcase.
Basically, as a little kid, this is where I grew up. Your name? Everett Smith. I'm the coach here at Barrett. But this is giving back for me. I grew up here as a little kid, like all my life, so it feels good to do something back in the community where we're from. And I was able to do that through a lot of different sports, but I kind of fell in love with boxing, and I've been doing boxing the longest. And as you deal with the young men in the community, you see how much they need it. And so that's why we started doing some of the things that we're doing now as far as boxing in the program.
Your boxing background, were you an amateur yourself?
Yeah, I did a little amateur. The way we grew up here at the rec center, we played every sport. So I did a little everything. I was a track star. I was a basketball player. We played baseball. We did everything. And I dabbled in boxing. As I got older, I kind of came back to boxing just to kind of stay in shape. And then I came back to Barrack, and Mr. Stansberry gave me an opportunity to start coaching because I was here every day working out and doing my own boxing workout because I knew from being younger that it was good to get in shape and all that type of stuff. So came up with a program. He hired me to do boxing training here, and I've been here ever since.
So are you the head trainer here?
Yes. Yep. 12 years. 12 years. So I'm
champions?
Yes. Yeah. So now everything's been amateur to this point, but definitely champions. I got different tournament champions, which are lower, but Golden Glove champion. There's bigger tournaments like the USA Men's. Some of those tournaments we've done and we've done well in. So now we have pros. Some of the same kids that we've coached are now turning pro. February 20th, there's a fight in Kentucky that two of my guys it'll be their first fight pro.
Can you get some names?
David Craddock and Jalen Hill, senior. So they'll be fighting February 20th in Kentucky. That'll be their first fight, and obviously the 6th of March will be their second fight. So we're going back to back in Kentucky, right? You know, trying to get these guys going. So
kind of a bubble situation.
Yes, definitely. Smaller, shorter. Obviously, with boxing, you can get in and out in a couple of days, but definitely a bubble situation. The whole fan thing is still an issue as far as here as well with training. So training is hard. We only can train so many days, so much time, which is hard for a fighter because they need to go every day when there's a fight coming. So that's a problem, but we're working through it.
Yeah, that's a problem for everybody.
Yeah.
How do you think you guys have adapted to these COVID-19 times and still training hard and still trying to stay competitive?
They have to be dedicated. The ones that are dedicated will make it work because now out of the gym you have a lot of things to do now. You know, no matter what's going on in the world, there's always some road out there, some pavement to run. So you can't say, I can't run because the gym's not open. So a lot of things you can do on your own. So when we're here, we try to fine tune some of the other stuff. Everybody doesn't have a heavy bag at home that you can hit. Stuff like that, the pad work and the coaching part. But these guys, like I said, the pros have been doing it for so long, they kind of know what to do, even when they're not here. So that helps. A lot of the kids are on hold because of no school or half school, or parents are still not comfortable yet with even having the kids come out, which I understand. So the kid part of our program is still very small.
Talk about the legends and what that means to you.
Yeah, that's history right there. In the beginning, myself and Mr. Hughes, we came up with this show. Each year we do a boxing show here before to raise money for our kids to travel. We go to Florida, Alabama, Georgia, all that, a lot, to travel, to get these kids out, like I said, out of the city, show them some different things, away from parents, just to start becoming young men and start learning some of the other things as far as boxing, how boxing works, and how it is to grow and be a young man. So what we do is a fundraiser every year for boxing. So we came up with the Legend Show because even Mr. Hughes, I was trying to tell the young guys who he was. And he's a monster as far as amateur boxing back in the day here, even in the same gym. They didn't know. They don't know a lot about the older fighters, so I got tired of that, so he would come in and I would have him explain and kind of go over who he was and talk about that. So we came up with an idea to honor a lot of the Ohio boxers that sometimes didn't get any recognition. They've won titles and did different things and nobody knows. So it was a fun thing to do for us because we knew who they were, but not everybody knew them. And they were outdone. They loved it. Just the fact that we cared enough to acknowledge them, even though it's been some of them 20 years later. But it still feels the same as if they did the first day and when it happened. So for us, it gives us a great feeling, but it gets them back in boxing as well. And the young kids to the legends, there has to be a connection. If there's no connection, they don't know how to get to that point. So that's kind of what we did. Some of those legends have gotten back into boxing and they're coaching again and at least showing up and being around and supporting boxing all over again. So we kind of lit the fire again, even with them. So now it's like, well, why ain't I a legend? What about me? I'm a legend. So now people are sending us their bio, like I should be in that list too. So it's a sought after place now, not a you know like the NFL or something like that, but it's our own little legends group, and we love it.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's for us.
Your own
Yes.
legends or your legends, just like
Yes.
any neighborhood got their own legends, but these legends are positive.
Yeah.
Giving back, and they're not the legends on 20s and 25.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But they're teaching you how to be grown men legends.
Yep.
And, how to
And in the sport that you're trying to do, like for my younger boxers, like I said, they have to have a path of where to go. If they don't have that, then they're going to go to something else or eventually or something else. But if they see that these guys have made it, and a lot of the legends we have, just because we don't know who they are here, some of the people, they've been on the national stage. A lot of them have fought for titles, national world titles, all that. So for the kids to see that, they're like, wow, we didn't know. So that gives them some more drive as well to see that they can make it. Another way of making it out of some bad situations is through the boxing. So it's like, okay, well, I need to get to practice. I need to get better. I need to do this to make it. So if we can help do that, that's all that matters.
Last question, Coach. They always say boxing saves lives. Just tell me what that means to you.
Number one thing is discipline for me. If I could say one word, discipline. The fighters learn so much of that in their training, and not knowing who you're fighting sometime, or not knowing how. I always tell the kids, if you don't do it, the next person is doing it. So when y'all meet, what's gonna happen? So I think, you might want to do what you're supposed to do to be ready if you're going to box. If you're going to box, you need to do it right. So that gives them an idea of, I need to do that to be right. And that leads into family life and into school, into everything. Because when people drop their kids off, I tell them, can I leave my kid? Can I do this? And I always tell them, they are my kids when they're here, no matter what. So I got them. And they feel comfortable enough to leave them with me, and they know that they're going to be treated like they're my kids. I'm going to make them work. I'm going to stay on them. I'm going to push them. But they're my kids, and they're safe. That's a big deal for a lot of single parents, a lot of, non-single parents. But you have to do that in the situation of if you're going to work with kids. So in the end, we're creating more respectful kids, like I said, more disciplined. The discipline leads into everything else. Anger. A lot of kids have anger issues. Not after they leave practice. I always tell them they can't beat the bag. You can get the heavy bag as much as you want, you're not going to win. So, but getting that frustration out helps a lot of kids to now go to school and not be frustrated. Now go home in whatever situation they're in and not be frustrated. As far as those type of things is what I love. That's a big part of what we do. And it's obviously, that's what I like giving back. So that helps a lot.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Barrett Community Center for fight number 6. It's been a great night thus far as Rico Hill, gets in the ring for the red. And what are you looking forward to seeing in this fight?
Well, first and foremost, like we've seen in almost every fight, because we've seen it in almost every fight, just high energy, just throwing all things out of regard and just going at it, man. Just a lot of high energy for high volume of punches and speed. A lot of speed.
And yes, Rico Adams is already in the ring now. He waits on Jalen Hill in the blue. Jalen Hill coming on in, and he is showing his appreciation to this wonderful audience. And you can see he is ready to fight. He is jazzed up. He's ready to go. What do you make, Marvell, when a guy comes in with that kind of body language?
Both paying a lot of respect to the crowd, and as you saw right there, they both paid a lot of respect to themselves. And this is going to be probably an excellent fight just by that nature itself. I like the respect that they both came through with.
And again, Rico Adams in the red, Jalen Hill in the blue. It's time for fight number 6 here at the Barrett Community Center in Columbus, Ohio. We hope you're ready. We know we're ready. Once again, Logan Morris, Marvell, Nichols. Let's get it on.
And one thing I definitely see from these fighters right now is just look at how lengthy they are. Just by the reach alone, they could probably jab each other from right across the ring if they really wanted to.
I'll bet you they are great fly swatters. I guarantee you that. With the length they have, they just whop right across the room, ready to go. And ready to go for the start of this fight. And Jalen Hill swings heavily. You can see, again, the reach, as you just told about, Marvell, the reach of these two young men is pretty dadgum astounding.
I love the fact that these two are, the movement of both of these young men right now. It's very sharp. I love the footwork right now. It's very eye-opening for me because of the simple fact of you just seen fighters just go at it and go at it and go at it like warriors. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the sharpness of boxing that I really love to see. And right now, I love how they're both using their jabs effectively. And right now, what you're looking at, surprisingly, is 2 southpaws going at it.
Yes, 2 southpaws. Not often you see that. And both are looking to set up the jab, as you can see there, and then hit the home run. A couple of hooks. That was a big time shot that connected. Oh, that was big time. And they're both looking to set up with the jab and then bring it home with the home run hook. What do you make of that strategy? We've seen it a lot tonight, Marvell.
From what I'm learning right now from both of these fighters are actually counter punches. Now, counter punchers are basically one of those fighters that waits for you to attack, but as soon as they spot an opening, they are right on it. And counter punchers are very dangerous to fight against because they're just so defensive based, but they're offensive based at the same time. It's all about a counter puncher being very quick, very precise, and they like to just go off of what they see during the smaller parts of the round, and they're very, very technical.
Extremely. Both these guys are counter punchers, have broad technicality. Rico Adams, Jalen Hill. Adams looking to be more the aggressor here. Again, Adams in the red, Hill in the blue. And now Adams has got Hill backed up on the ropes. And how tough is that, Marvell, when you have to deal with being on the ropes and plus a fighter is breathing down your neck?
It's so difficult due to the simple fact that you're on the ropes that are just really, really flimsy. So you have a little bit of mobility, unlike you being against the wall or something like that. That's fine. It could possibly help you in your mobility of trying to get away, but at the same time, you're between a rock and a hard place still at this point. Maybe just a softer rock, but I don't know if you can really find a softer rock. So again, it's not the position that you want to be no matter what. You're just going up against someone that's going to, again, try to knock your head off, and you have a little bit of room to move, and you need as much room as possible to move.
And that is the end of the first round. Again, we've seen a fast pace all night, and you will, with these shortened rounds, you will see a fast pace throughout the evening. And now you can see Hill being talked to, coached up by his mentors in the blue corner, and he looks pretty fresh, not horrible. What'd you make of that first round, and what are you seeing based on the body language of these corners?
Both have high energy. I think they're both ready, really ready to go. I think that both of these fighters here could actually go a lot more rounds than just the 3 1-minute ones that I would actually like to see this be a full-on fight. Because again, the technicality that both of these fighters are showing right now is so refreshing, and it lets us know that they're very well taught, that they understand the game, and that they are very technically sound. I like that. I like technically sound fighters, and especially counter-puncher fighters. They're very interesting. And again, with the strategy of being a left-handed fighter, it's very awkward going up against a right-handed fighter, but if you're going up against another southpaw, then you both have around the same amount of advantages.
Absolutely, and we get set for round number 2 here. It'll be interesting to see if anyone can kind of break away. That first round was pretty even, and again, they both seem to have the same idea. Both southpaws, and they're looking to bring the jab and then bring it home with a big-time hook or an uppercut. And you see that at a constant in this fight, and Rico Adams not being quite as aggressive early on out here. And we'll see what happens. Jalen Hill. And now they're in the clinch. Jalen keeping those hands moving in the blue. Noticing putting in the body shots in the clinch, making sure that he takes advantage of every moment. Adams looking a little tentative, looking to make that move. Do you notice a change in tone, a change in body language, a change in pace for Adams?
Not at all, really. It just looks like they both came out with the same strategy. It looks like round 1 was more of like the biggest fill-out round that we've seen all night. It's looking like a technical masterpiece, like I've been saying the past couple of rounds here. It's looking like, with how long both of their arms are and how effectively they're using their jab, it just looks like they're jousting at this point. All they're missing is really just horses.
Absolutely, and really we've got the horses here. We got a couple of stallions in this ring, and we'll see what takes place. Rico Adams looking to swing heavily. Now they're in the clinch, and notice how Hill got in a couple of body shots in that quick clinch. How important can those quick body shots that you saw by Hill be?
Actually, I'm glad you said stallion, because I think the Italian stallion watching this fight would actually we'd be very proud. I think that with this here, it's very sharp. A lot of the movement is very good. Now, granted, when they land their punches, it's typically a jab, or they would come through with a straight left hand. But a lot of the punches that they throw, like the hooks or the uppercuts or anything like that, they're both missing, but they're not missing because of swinging wildly. They're both missing because of the head movement being so beautifully timed. As you can see from here, the timing of that, just dipping out and dipping back in with high volume and intense energy, it could really throw off a lot of what you feel like you want to do next. A lot of fighters, what they do is they typically plan out their attacks thoroughly, but if you're getting rebutted with a quickness, it throws off a lot of your game.
And there has been a quickness, and that is the end of round number 2. We're going to get set for the final round here. And Hill in the blue and Adams in the red, now both looking a little fatigued, a little less eager to get back out there. You can just tell in the tone and the way they're walking that both are a little tired, a little spent. And it'll be interesting to see, because again, we have another fight, and we've had this all night long. We got another fight where it looks like it could go either way right now.
It looks definitely like it can go either way. Both men are showing around the same attributes, really. The quickness is there, the jab is there. It's both movement. The movement of both fighters is just so crisp, man. And when you watch the footwork and you watch the spacing of how centered they both look whenever they throw their punches, it's excellent boxing. It's excellent boxing. Now, people come to see violence, people come to see knockouts, but some people really do appreciate the actual art of the sweet science of boxing.
The sweet science of boxing, and let's see if we see some more of that in round number 3 as we get underway for the final round. And now they're in the clinch, and what have both these fighters got to do to be ready and set to go?
I'm liking how they're scoring, and right now a lot of aggressiveness is coming out with both of these men, just saying like, hey, this might be even, so it's looking like it's really deadly. As you can see, a lot of whoa there, hold on, don't fall out the ring now.
And absolutely, we almost had a horrible calamity as Jalen Hill almost took a tumble outside the ring. Almost looked like something straight out of WWE. But we've got it all set and straightened out. And so we'll see if Jalen Hill can recover from that. How much could that mess with his psyche in this final round?
I like how Hill came out in the beginning of this round, throwing a lot of combinations that threw his opponent off. And a lot of those punches could really be the defining factor of this round, depending on how the rest of this round goes. And if just to say if this round was to be even, just look at the beginning of the fight and just like, hey, those punches were very, very effective. And right now they're landing some shots, both of them are, and they're rocking each other too, I believe.
Rico Adams again being the aggressor, and he is driving Hill. He is driving Hill into the corner. And you can see him try to get up on the body there. Great shot from our camera folks here, Squan here. And he, again, Rico Adams driving in the corner. I mean, he is just setting, pretty much, you shall not pass is what Rico Adams is going for at this point. And Jalen Hill now out of the corner, set back by the ref. But again, Adams seeming to be more the aggressor of the two. And we know how pivotal that can be. We've seen it before this evening. As far as being the aggressor goes, valuable body shots being swung by both now in the clinch. And maybe both these fighters need that breather for a second. And the referee sets. And it's interesting, Marvell, to see how different officials do different things when it comes to the clinch. We've seen the clinch kind of be come and go tonight in terms of sometimes it's treated very, very quickly. Other times other officials go, I'll let the boys have at it, for lack of a better term.
Sometimes it also depends, like sad to say, it depends on the size of the fighters. Just the movements of the fighters and the excitement that they want to see. A lot of the bigger fighters you would like to see in the clinch because they're big, sluggish kind of fighters and they hit extremely hard. Now with the others, like the smaller fighters, such as Hill and such as Adams, who move very quickly, you want to see more of back and forth, fast-paced action like we've seen from both of them. Hill and Adams did not disappoint whatsoever. I think that Adams did come forth, and after that swarm that Hill hit him with and said, I had enough, and had a little bit of a swarm in himself, this round was incredibly even.
I have to agree, as we have reached the end of the round and the end of the fight. And so now we'll await the judge's decision. I think both these young men have nothing to be ashamed of and both can hold their head high. Once again, this isn't necessarily all about wins and losses. Yes, that's important. Yes, that matters. But what really matters is the community and making our communities better and making these young men's lives better and paying tribute to boxing's past here in Columbus and boxing's future in Columbus. And that's what tonight is all about. Again, don't get us wrong. Competition is important. It's a big part of what we do, but there are bigger things than sports, and community is certainly above that. We await the judge's decision. Both these fighters showing great respect, both leaving their hand raised, and both deserve that. And we await now the judge's official decision. But again, both these young men are winners tonight.
And yes, when you looked in the third round, they looked a little bit more fatigued than usual, but they still put up such a great fight. And both of these young men are very spectacular in what they do.
Jalen Hill going to get the W here for the blue corner. But again, that's not what's important at the end of the day. Rico Adams obviously a little.
Mario Bowles. I was more of an amateur guy, so I fought from the age of 8 to about 15 and a half. Born and raised by my mother, Cherie Bowles. Being the oldest out of 5 siblings, you know, I kind of had to take on that manhood role in the household at an early age, you know, being raised with no father figures in the household. So for me, I always was young and I wanted to hang out with the older crowd. So I would get in a lot of fights and stuff with all the older kids. And one day, moving out of Valuable Orange Rec Centers, we moved over to a street called Carpenter in Newton. And that was a heavy gang neighborhood. So I kind of found my niche at Blackburn Recreation Center. And that's where I picked up the sport of boxing, along with boxing, tennis, football, diving, swimming, you name it, I played it. So just to stay out of trouble and being able to just, give back to my little brothers and sisters by just doing the right thing at all times. So I played everything from a high school perspective. Played football, where I was heavily recruited until I sustained an injury, and I kind of, derailed that. But I was also on the verge of signing with University of Georgia for basketball, where I pretty much averaged about 21 points a game my senior year of high school. And then tennis, you know, a lot of people look at me now, see all this body, and like, man, you played tennis? I was a bad boy in tennis. So, and then swimming and diving. You know, I'm probably on a 3-meter board. I could probably do a back triple right now with no splash. But this is just one of my hidden talents, and I just fell in love with every sport. Wanted to be the best I could at everything at a young age, and boxing came quite easy. You know, to have an undefeated record for my entire time in amateur boxing was something that you know, I took pride in. And the reason why is, you know, I had to fight older guys because I was a bigger, younger kid, and that just helped me and motivated me for when it was time for me to fight my peers in competition. It just gave me that edge and that break. So that's something that just came easy to me in nature. So my world, I'm a high school athletic director at Northland High School. So I get the chance to just be engaged and be a part of a lot of young people's life at the most pivotal stage of their life. So that's something that I extremely enjoy. I also run and a CEO of a youth program, football cheer and drill program, the Eastland Vikings, which has been around in the city of Columbus for 55 years. And then also I have a boys mentoring group called Kingsmen that I'm extremely proud in, which has a lot of young men, and we're just trying to teach them the right way and teach them how to overcome situations and challenges. So for me, I'm just giving it back and paying it forward. And then for my kids, you know, for me to not have a male figure present with me, I have 4 beautiful kids and a wife of 15 years soon to be. And now I know it's not about me anymore. I have 4 kids that depend on me. And for me, I just instill everything that I've learned into them. So that's something that I just truly take pride in now. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me. What I will say about the Legends League is that, you know, for me, a young kid aspiring to just do wonderful things, this is so important because my sons never really knew that I was a boxer and I achieved what I achieved in life. So to have this event come and be a recipient, an honoree of this Legends, and be honored as a legend has just been big. You know, I never knew that the city of Columbus would come out and support me the way that it did, and it sparked a lot of interest just with my nephews and my sons to pick up the sport of boxing. And that's something that I'm forever grateful for. And Mr. Hughes and all his team and staff putting this wonderful event together to honors, to pay homage to the guys and the ladies who come before that seem that not being as much glorified and recognized was just a beautiful thing, and for that I'm ever grateful. 2 stories I want to tell. One was my first day in the boxing ring. The coach's son, you know, I came out of, my coach and boxing instructor was William Reeves, and he had a son named Brandon Reeves we won multiple national championships together as a team. But my first day in the ring, this little guy, man, I was just so much bigger than him, but I didn't know he was the coach's son, and he lit me up the first day. I mean, I walked home all bloody. My mom thought I joined the gang, and for me, I was just like, give me 3 weeks. That's never gonna happen again. And what's interesting and what's so beautiful about the story is Tiffany Logan, her first professional fight, Brandon and I came off 2 nationals. We were 2 of 3 to win a national silver gloves that year with Ricardo Williams out of Cincinnati. And we was fighting was gonna fight some guys from Cincinnati area, and they did a no-show. So me and Brandon closed both of our careers by fighting each other again and being the other card for Tiffany Logan for her first professional day fight. And I beat him that night, but as far as anybody that I could ever seen through my time in boxing, he was probably the toughest challenge I ever had because he had all the coaches' techniques and the hidden skills and tricks. And for that, I'm forever grateful, man, because we're like brothers now. And that's something that what we did in a short period of time, no one can take away. And then the second probably story I will have is my last national championship. I fought two brothers back to back. The night after fighting the first brother and stopping him in the second round, I was set to fight the better brother the next day. And being the youngest and around all the bigger kids, I was swimming at the hotel and slipped and kind of bust my head a little bit, and maybe even had a concussion that night because it was that bad. So the next day, getting ready for the fight, had an extreme headache and could not put on my headgear. And my mom and my coach was wondering what was going on, and they called, and I had to tell them what happened. And we just said a prayer for it just to subside for 10, 15 minutes, and I knew I had to get that guy out of there pretty quick. So still, I think recorded to this day, 1994, I have the fastest knockout record in that tournament of 7 seconds in the first round. And all the glory to God. And that's something I always remember because that was a mental challenge more than a physical challenge to get through that. So something that I still tell my friends and I'm excited about.
off the belt at 132 Elite. Winner by unanimous decision in the blue corner. Put your hands together for Mr. Corey Flint.
Yeah, Mark Stansberry. I'm a longtime resident of Columbus, Ohio. Started my recreation parks profession right over next door here to in the pool, Lincoln Pool. I was a lifeguard there for 10, 12 years, so I've come to know the neighborhood fairly well. When they asked me to come back and open the center back up in 2010, it had been shut down for 2 years because of the economic crisis in 2008. We came back, opened it back up, and have really seen our programming develop quite big, especially in the boxing. This community has viewed this center as a place, even before it was built. They had a little shelter outside, that it was a place where they could come and feel safe, be a place where they felt they could develop their skills in a lot of different ways, and how they dealt with each other. The families felt comfortable having their young ones come here, and they've just grown up, and some of these boxers have been, around here for 40 years. They've been around 40, 50 years and just have sustained their existence through what they learned when they were young here, and then have used that every transition that they've gone through as being young to mature, and then now some of us are a little older than even mature now. The center has been a place where they can feel safe, and that's been a very important aspect. I hear it all the time. If I was out on the street, I'd got myself in trouble, and they can almost see the difference between the folks that hung out here versus the folks that didn't hang out here over the years, basically by their track record. The best part about this center is that it has created a sense of family, a sense of community, that folks, no matter how long they've been away, I had a gentleman that had been out of the city for 30 years. I knew him when he was real young. He came back and still wanted to come in and see. It was during the pandemic, so we had a little less of an ability to get him in to see the whole operations of what's been going on. People feel that it's a place to come back to, a place that no matter how crazy the world is going, this place is here for them to remember the good days, probably also some bad days. I'm not going to make it a panacea. There's been a lot of fights. There's been a lot of other stuff in here, but the community has used this facility very well. I've been here now going on 12 years, and has not been tagged once. I can't say that of many of the buildings down in this area. The process of me professionally getting to run this place, which I'm not so ever sure. I'm more like a Bronco rider, just sort of staying on top, for the 8 seconds. As long as I stay on for 8 seconds, I get my points, and so that's where I'm at. Good, strong community that supports any large group activity that we have. I can count on 20, 30 volunteers that would come and help. So that, knowing that I have that kind of support in the community and community at large, I've gone through learning how to be a leader to running programming and different sports activities, then to move up to assistant manager, to be supervising other folks. And now I am at the point of a center manager to I see the center manager as a point that we can start visioning a little farther than just the day-to-day. I can see down, 10, 20 weeks out, maybe even farther. We're talking about already next year's Boxing Legends show for the 3rd Saturday of February in 2022. So we're starting already thinking about that kind of thing. So we could start thinking, when you're a manager, you get to have that little freedom, a little bit more of extending your vision a little farther Recon Parks has been able to sustain boxing in Central Ohio, has had a long history, a long legacy of boxing in Columbus. But the Legends idea of bringing a showcase that would honor folks that had been around since, you know, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s now, these boxers that have shown what it takes to be from boy to man or girl to woman. It's a great boxing sport itself is a great conditioner. It's a great discipline teacher. It's a great legacy to hold that vision of what it means to be a community, what it means to pay back to that community, and then also that just to honor some of these folks. A lot of these guys come from fairly rough backgrounds, and you know they've not always had people saying, "You did good, man. You did good," or "You did well. You did well." So we just want to take that moment to really give them a moment in the light and say, "You've done well." And we're trying to do this while they're still alive too. We've gotten to points. You know, a lot of times people get honored when they're gone. And we're trying to make it so that, you know, they're still around where they can understand that, you know, what they did, people looked up to it. It was very important. Some of these folks didn't lose a single bout, a single fight. Have gone through and beat up people from all around the city, all around the country. And we got more legends to honor as well. Our list is getting long, but we got more to come. So look out for the future. Here we come.
Jackson from Pittsburgh. Hands together one more time for both boxers. Left it all in the ring. Our winner in the 165 by split decision in the blue corner. Put your hands together for Mr. Jorge Martinez.
And welcome in, everybody, for fight number 10, the final fight of the night. And Marvell, I want to say it's been an absolute pleasure working with you this evening. It's been a great night. What are you looking forward to in fight number 10? Are we going to close this thing out strong?
First and foremost, I do look forward to calling this last fight with you here, Logan, and I'm very privileged and very honored to be here sitting next to you calling these fights. And what I'm also looking forward to here is another great fight here. Tonight has been very eventful, and this is been a great showcase for all these young men that have attended and been in the ring, and a great night for everyone that's attended and watched as they've put on a great show for us here tonight.
It has been a great show, and the final fight is going to be Deshaun Brennan in the blue, Quentin Jackson in the red, and we are underway. And Deshaun looking to fill it out, as is Quentin Jackson. Quentin leading with a jab, and Deshaun absolutely on its hair here, trying to connect. The size difference is the first thing I'm noticing.
Yes, Brunnish is looking like so much of the bigger fighter here, and you can tell by the way that he can reach from almost half the ring to try to get at Jackson here. So what I'm looking at for here is for Deshaun to use a lot of his reach, use a lot of jabbing. He got a lot of quick pops here with his feint jabs. He's looking for his angles, and he's keeping Jackson off of it and keeping his heels.
And yeah, the size difference is enormous, but hey, it's not the size of the dog in the fight.
It's the size of the fight in the dog.
No question about it, my man Marvell Nichols. And there's a lot of fight going on here. And Jackson, what do you do when you're trying to overcome this size difference?
First and foremost, you got to move within the jab. You got to find your inside range. And right now, what I'm seeing from Jackson is a lot of great head movement here, trying to keep the jab off of him and trying to keep an off-balance movement here. And as you can see, the end of the round, that was pretty quick, actually.
Oh, that was quicker than a hiccup, as they say. And what a great round it was. What do you make of it?
Pretty quick, like I was saying before. That was actually one of the quickest rounds that I've seen all night, even though they're all 1 minute. All quick, but this one seemed kind of quicker. Again, we were in awe of the size advantage that we see here between the two fighters. And Jackson, again, showing great head movement, but he has to capitalize on the head movement and swarming in, like we've seen a lot of the smaller fighters do in the past few fights here tonight. And what we see from Deshaun here is Deshaun is showing a lot of, like, again, quick pops with his jabs, a lot of movement, a lot of sharp movement, that I would like to say, and keeping his footwork together. Both fighters have shown that they have quick tendencies here, but let's see who has a lot more offense to show.
Quick tendencies indeed, as we're going to get set for round number 2, the official making last-minute preparations and adjustments. And I'm curious to see if the filling out process ends for round number 2, because there was a lot of filling out in round number 1. Jackson comes out swinging. Brennan
is still showing that. Ooh. Brennan right there is baiting his opponent to swing and his counter punching here. I like the strategy here. He's showing a lot of aggression with his feints, but he's allowing his opponent, his smaller opponent, to try to find his range on the inside, and is backing up and counter punching. What a strategy here by Brennan.
Brennan, being the thinking man's boxer, Quentin Jackson going to have to find a way to combat that strategy. And again, Brennan trying to bait, as Marvell said. Bring him in, then it's a waiting game. Jackson gets a couple of body shots, but then Brennan comes right back.
Leaving your opponent perplexed like this can be very detrimental to any fight as well. And Jackson has shown the ability to be able to move inside with his quickness, but he's a bit startled and shook by the offense of Brennan here, as again, it could be the advantage of being the longer fighter and showing that he could punch again, like I said, from almost Broad Street at this point. And just going off of what we've seen here, another round here from Jackson and Brennan. Logan, I think that these two fighters here are putting into a game plan that's sticking with them. But I think Jackson again has to show that, even though he's shown us that he has the capabilities and the speed and the quickness to get inside, but just not get his offense out the way. And Brennan's just quick feet has been able to get him an advantage, not just being long. It's just not being the longer fighter and having the longer reach is not enough.
And that is the end of round number 2, and we are set for what is scheduled to be our final round of the evening. And it's been a great night. It's been incredible. It's been incredible to do all this and be a part of this, and it's been a pleasure. And I want to say thank you to all involved, from myself and on behalf of School on Air. Let's do one more round, shall we, Marvell?
One more round. Let's see who impresses what and what changes have been made. And it looks like, again, Jackson, like we said before, has the capabilities of going inside, but he goes immediately to the clinch here. He has to stop backing up, Logan, and stop backing yourselves into a corner in the ropes. But again, it's just the brilliance of Brennan being the bigger fighter and cutting off the ring and putting him in angles that it's making it hard for Jackson to come out of these situations here and show off some offense. So this is a very good fight for both fighters.
I couldn't agree with you more, Marvell. Now it's time to go big or go home. It's the final round. It's the final round of the evening. And Brennan is stalking Quentin Jackson. And Jackson trying to bob and weave, be quick, but don't hurry, is Quentin Jackson. You see him, you see Brennan trying to set up that jab and then big time, get him in. Brennan just being such the aggressor with this fight.
I think Jackson is actually fighting like I would in Fight Night, with just basically just using the head movement a lot with the right stick, avoiding the punches here. And again, he's got great slips, and that's the advantage of being a small fighter too, is when it's hard to punch down as the bigger fighter. It damages a lot of your accuracy. It damages a lot of your accuracy. It damages a lot of how you try to come off it with angles. And being the quicker fighter too in Jackson, it helps out a lot.
And that is the bell on the final fight of the evening, pardon me. And what a fight it was, what a night it's been. We will await the judge's decision, but again, I know I sound like a broken record on this, folks, but I have to stress it one more time before we bid farewell. This is not necessarily all about who wins and loses these fights. It is about community. It's about boxing's past, boxing's future, and that's what it's all about here in Columbus, Ohio. It's about helping these young men do things better and have better lives and just better time spent. It's much more than just who wins and who loses tonight. Everybody is a winner tonight, and we're all thankful to be a part of it. Both these young men getting their hand raised. Quentin Jackson in the red, Deshaun Brennan in the blue.
I'm not going to lie, I'm actually kind of jealous of every fighter that's got themselves a trophy or a championship belt. A championship belt specifically, I might want to have one of those hanging up in my room. I might participate in one of these, Logan.
You might need to get yourself one commissioned, as Deshaun Brennan just ruled the winner of the final fight of the evening. And it has been our absolute pleasure here at School on Air to bring all this to you. The Columbus Legends Boxing Showcase. Marvell later. For Marvell Nichols, I'm Logan Morris. We're out of here. Take care.